Starmom is coming up next, and she's going to have me help her with her slideshow. Are you guys all right with that? Okay. So please give a warm welcome with her belief, having your own, not dependent on any other source of dubious integrity or questionable motives, including astronaut testimony, nods, and nebulae, and ceaseless acts of creation, Mara Starmom.
Is this okay? Is this right? Thank you, John, for allowing me to speak to the folks here. I don't normally step into this kind of light. I live a hermit's life. So please pardon any irrational panic on my part. It is because I seek another kind of light. Dr. Joseph Campbell, Professor Emeritus, defines this light simply as the radiance. One radiance shines through all things. That is the light I seek. And I find it everywhere, but most intensely congregated at Quinault, where my search for Sasquatch has opened doors to other realities. One day, I was standing by the river, watching a hawk in flight. I assumed it was fishing. I never took my eyes off the hawk. And poof, the hawk disappeared. Where did it go? To some other place in that faraway nearby. So how can we make sense of any of that strange experience? Well, you can't in the cardboard box. We find ourselves in constant conflict over belief, repeated slaughter for the same stupid reasons. We know this history and still we repeat it. Are we slow learners? I never thought so. Or are we under the control of invisible hands? Too many people believe in concepts that imperil us all. I read the other day that we have learned more in the 20 years since the Hubble than in 400 years since Galileo. Technology leaps far ahead of our competence to prescribe a philosophy to it. So it might be a good time to pause and rethink and use what we've learned to construct a new paradigm to the liberation of all mankind. I question myself about the disappearing hawk, that nagging editor in your head that tells you you can't see what you just saw, but you did see it, and it changes you. And that change is the holy moment, a temporary chaos that isn't really chaos after all, but a reconstructuring of your beliefs to fit the experience to an understanding. It's a momentary madness, a temporary chaos, which isn't really chaos after all. It widens your eyes so you can see more. And when you see more, you see the sky is not indifferent and we are not alone. Keep going. Oh. Holy cow.
Sorry, Mom.
Life is everywhere the light shines, Simba. Everywhere the light shines, that's the kingdom of life. Religion and science have been in opposing threads of thought for a very long time, at great price to mankind, a price we pay every day. Are these opposing threads now entwining? Between quantum mechanics and the Pope, we have hope for hope. One instance of this entwinement comes straight out of the Vatican. Many years ago, Monsignor Balducci appeared on Italian TV to declare the Vatican's stand that demonic possession was very different from alien contact. A few years later, in another astonishing declaration, The Vatican declares it's okay for us to have alien contact because aliens are our brothers and not guilty of original sin. Don't you wonder how they know that? Why is the Vatican involved in the alien question? That wouldn't seem to be their territory, would it? Many years, a rumor circulated in the UFO community that disclosure would not be made by any leader of any world government, but instead would be made by a religious leader, one more likely to be believed. And here we have the Vatican addressing the world's largest congregation, allowing them alien contact for reasons they keep to themselves. Are they preparing their congregation? Is this disclosure as a process? Do we need their disclosures or do we need their confessions? What is it that we can believe? Let's apply what we have learned to structure our beliefs to a cosmic understanding. Creation is not a singular event aimed at one small dust mote of a planet. Creation is a machinery imbued in the subatomic structure, constantly creating replicated shapes and forms with which to build the houses of life. The houses of life are not constructed to be vacant. The miracle is the life that's lived in those houses everywhere. And maybe God has many children. That's not to say they are all God's good children. So let's consider the stars, the product of creation. The numbers change all the time as our vision expands into staggering numbers. Now they think the Milky Way could contain up to 1 trillion stars with 100 billion planets. 100 billion planets is a lot of houses to be empty. The Milky Way is also sprinkled liberally with nebula. These are star nurseries in stellar pregnancies that are timed just as ours are timed. So we have one galaxy full of stars, constantly creating more stars, times all the galaxies and all the nebula. What kind of a number can you express with that? We are made of the ashes of old stars, reborn in the constancy of life. That constancy is not made of flesh and blood and bone. It is made of radiance. The anima, the life force. It is made of spirit, the breath of God. If you find that radiance and follow it to the end of time, it will still shine. It is a force throughout the universe, and we are not in singular possession of it. String theory happily allows us 10 dimensions of space for our ghosts, our aliens, and our angels, and 1 dimension of time. If you apply the all-prevailing hands of time to any coagulated matter, any clump of mud pie in the universe, time will give birth to worlds beyond our competence to understand, because we have been taught to fear. Fear sells us religion like it sells us monster movies. But I don't understand fear of a God who designed an infinite realm of stars for life to be lived. That would seem to be a most generous gift, to be a part of the living fabric of the tapestry of life in the cosmos. It is much greater than we can imagine in this cardboard box reality where we now reside. So let's all get together and burn the cardboard box. One day I found a Sasquatch glyph, a gigantic X. Some people say that means go away, but I thought it said expansion. expansion of everything, all motion in a spiral that rises. Let's use this force inside the atom to expand our belief systems, to give what we have learned, to give to our beliefs substance and coherent answers. I think in quantum mechanics, we will find the fingerprint of God. One of my favorite poets, Ferlinghetti, says, "I'm waiting for the rebirth of wonder." Well, aren't we all? Do you feel like you're sitting on the edge of something big, ambiguous, unsettling? It is the rising of the veil. We are at this intersection of the old way and the new way. What will humanity choose? Will we walk forward boldly into the future, or will we be dragged back into the darkness of the past? What we see might scare us into recognizing that we are one species, one humankind, and we need to stand together, no longer allowing ourselves to be manipulated into false divisions and hatreds and constant bloody contention against each other for stupid reasons. No matter your race, your religion, your nationality, I don't care if you're agreeing with yellow polka dots, if you're a human being, we are the same. But then there are some others. Some are good, some perhaps not good as we define it. We can't assume to know the alien agenda. I suspect there are many. Are we ready to admit them? They are already in our consciousness. They landed there a long time ago. Before we descend into utter chaos and allow cruel belief to destroy our world, let's choose a new path and create a new paradigm by knowing that all you are is light made solid. Quantum mechanics says the same thing in the language of science, in a rare moment of agreement. Having alien contact with or without the Vatican's permission destroys the cardboard box where we have been confined. And so I ask it of myself, what do you believe? My best answer is that life is constant throughout the universe. And the very reason for the universe to exist, not indifferently as science supposes, not cruelly as religion dictates, but by its own immaculate actions. Some of these cosmic citizens have evolved far beyond us, and some perhaps not so far. And here we are at a critical point in our growth as a species when if we survive or not, depends on failed leadership globally and what we have been told to believe. If the alien is our enemy with evil intention that we are protected from knowing, then we are rendered as helpless as children. But perhaps the children of Earth are growing up, and maybe they want another bite of that apple. If the alien is our friend, then step out into the open and show us your faces, and quit playing peekaboo like the Sasquatch. I've waited a long time for disclosure. I waited a long time for nothing. So I went elsewhere. Dr. James Gates, physicist, says he has found binary code embedded in the equations used to describe string theory. Series of zeros and ones, binary code. What can that mean? Is this a holographic universe? We are now learning leaps ahead of what we have been taught to believe. For any of it to make sense, the threads of science and spirit must entwine in this tapestry in the space-time continuum. Whether you want your universe stringy or loopy, it doesn't matter. They turn into threads, and the threads weave the web. A web that is a lattice work of fine filaments of light that congregate and make layers of dimensional realities. The spider replicates this intrinsic design for our unseeing eyes. So what will you believe here at this crossroads? By being here in this great hall, you have chosen true. To seek what is true fearlessly, so we as human beings can make a stand together for ourselves and safe passage for our children through these perilous times to a day when all the children can play in radiant meadows of earth. Thank you.
Mara Starmom. You did great. I just call her Mom.